So one time I was on Tinder and I was talking to this guy and I mentioned that I had been playing a D&D character that was based on, I've been playing two D&D characters that were both based off of X-Men. One was based off of Emma Frost. The other one was based off of Angel Warren Worthington III. I don't think I did a great job adapting him. But I described my character to this guy, and he said, "Oh, kind of reminds me of Angel." It was something like a roundabout compliment, but it was like, but I'm sure you would pick a character more interesting than that. Or like a better character than that. And it's kind of like, I mean, obviously not his fault, and he can have his own opinions about Angel. It was just awkward, because now I have to be like, no, that's him. That's him. That's him. So I want to talk about why I like Warren. Alright. From the beginning, from like the original 5 X-Men, which is, as a big Cyclops stan, that is an era that I like. Particularly when it's like revisited. I've read some of the original comics of that time, and you know, they just don't dig into the nitty gritty of, they're not angsty enough. the sort of Silver Age stuff. I like Bronze Age is my favorite. This is off topic. I'm talking about something specific here. I'm talking about Warren Worthington III, okay? So, I think people discount him, and I think one of the main reasons that one of the first things I bring up when I'm like, he's interesting, is he's the only X-Men that chose to be a superhero. Before they all joined the X-Men, none of the other X-Men were out there fighting crime. Now, there are a lot of reasons for that. It's not like I, blame the kids or anything, you know. Jean was, Warren was physically safe. And his powers were, manageable, controllable. I always liked the idea that him and Scott would have an interesting dynamic, coming from such separate worlds and such different personalities and temperaments. I would like them being close friends. I would like all of the other 5 being close friends. But, you know, Scott's like an orphan. He's on the run. Life's literally a living hell. Jean's, rattling the house with all, her nightmares and shit. Bobby is freezing things and also being chased by murderous mobs. Hank, I believe, was hiding so, he wouldn't be, ostracized. I want to say that's right. But it's, everybody was under a lot of pressure. And Warren is the one that is no, I want to start saving people. And so he does. And so he becomes, what is it, the Avenging Angel? Is that what it was? And he starts saving people. And I always thought that was, an interesting part of his character that people overlook. That it's everybody else, I think, was kind of manipulated by Xavier in the sense that they were offered safety and in exchange for that, also had to do, some superhero stuff. And, you know, I don't think their work as the X-Men was, bad, but it wasn't the idea came to them, which I also feel is really realistic. I feel like most people, if they would develop a superpower, even with the great power comes great responsibility mentality, that doesn't always equate to you have to go fight crime now, especially because of how vigilantism doesn't always work. when Spider-Man leaves people tied up, I don't know if they're like going to court. And anyway, that's kind of why I think Daredevil is cool. But this is all besides the point. I'm talking about Warren. So I always think that's interesting, and how his decision to join Xavier's is just, it's very much a choice. Because he could pass as human. He could absolutely pass as human. Because like I said, his powers are controllable. There's nothing physical about them. Or there's something there, he does have a physical element about him, but it is a hideable. It's he's able to hide it, but he wears like those big coats. And also, as we do see, like, amputation is an option. I never liked that in Last Stand they showed Kid him trying to cut off his own wings, and like, it's like, oh, they just like keep growing back. Because I liked the idea that Warren has always had, even if he never fully considered it, has always had this option of like, if you just cut your wings off, you could pass as a human. Nobody would ever know you were mutant. And that's where I think that Warren works as sort of like a queer-coded character, because he could live his whole life in hiding. You know, he's like an Upper East Side, you know, rich socialite. And, you know, he could, you know, just do what his dad wants him to do. Just good old marry a woman, like the queer-coded sort of part of it. Could grow up, marry a woman, have a couple kids, have maybe, you know, do some queer activities on the side. But for his whole life, he would be living in hiding. He would be having this huge secret weighing down on him. And I think Warren is the kind of guy that I see him as a very, like, open person. I think the idea of, like, having a secret like that, like, he would see that as being ashamed of himself. And I don't think he wants to be ashamed of himself. Because you shouldn't be. Whether you're gay or a mutant. But yeah, so I just feel like Warren being openly a mutant, choosing that for himself over, you know, living in hiding and being like a party boy, heartthrob, like he was set up to be. I just think that that's really admirable, and I think that that's interesting. And then I think that sort of position of him, you know, being the most privileged, the most comfortable of the original 5 X-Men, and choosing this life for himself more than anybody else, because, you know, he had the choice, he had the privilege to choose. And that being very admirable of him, I think that makes it all the more tragic when it goes badly, like I assume you know it does. But yeah, that's why I love Warren.